Today I'm going to teach you how to use Excel to quickly perform data analysis. For example, given a data as you can see on the screen, this data is about the sale of supermarkets. So you can see from here, column A is the year, column B will be the month of the year, column C will be the store location. So there are only four: south, east, north, and west. So column D is a product group and column E is the product name. And where column F will be the unit sold, and lastly revenue, as you know, is the amount sold. So given a data like this, what is the first question you're going to ask if you run a supermarket? Probably you're going to ask, hey, what is the store that generate the most revenue, right? So for example, if this is a question you're going to ask, how are you going to use Excel to find this answer quickly? Probably what comes to your mind is, maybe we can do grouping, or we can do a sum on the revenue here, and then we do a filter to filter out each of the store accordingly. This, to be honest, will take you a lot of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, what Excel can do for you really quick to perform data analysis is to use a pivot table. So what is a pivot table? So pivot table is basically a tool that allows you to perform summarization, to perform data analysis, to perform sorting of your data, or to turn all this data into a useful insight table with just a few clicks. So, for example, to answer the question, which store generate the most revenue? I prepare an example for you. So if you look at this example here, okay. So basically, this example shows the sum of revenue for 4 different stores. This is also generated from the table. For example, we have only 4 stores. If you have 10 stores, 12 stores, 20 stores, you will see 20 list, and Excel will automatically do a sum for you. This is actually a default behavior of pivot table. Before we can perform pivot table, make sure that your data are in structure format. What does it mean by structure format? For example, your data begin with a column name. Then column A, all will be storing year. You can see from here. We can go to the end. We can see that it's all year. So there's no title in between. There's no other non-year data go inside column A. Column B, we can see from here is a month, also storing the month of the year. Column C will be the store name. Column D and so will be the product group. So this is what we call a structure table. And in order to perform pivot table with accurate result, you need to make sure that your data are in proper structure. So if your data are already in proper structure format, then we're ready to begin. So basically, to convert this table into a pivot table, very easy. What you need to do is select anywhere in the table, and then go to Insert, go to Pivot Table, and choose from Table and Range. So this is actually from a range. So we have to choose from table and range. If you have data that is located inside other file, you can always perform from external data source as well. Or if you have data that is stored in a database which allow you to connect from Excel, you can also choose the second option. So with that, we choose from table range, and you will see a pop-up window or dialog box. We call it some dialog box, telling you that your data is actually going from A1 and then to G923. So we go down to the last one, 923. And in fact, we're at 923 row. So this is correct. Usually Excel will predict correct, except if you have empty line, empty row in between, then Excel will make mistake. Then the second option here, we have to choose whether you want to create pivot table in a new worksheet, or you want to insert your pivot table into the current worksheet. So if you choose the current worksheet, you have to specify where you want to place the. In fact, for my recommendation will be always choose the new worksheet, so that if you don't like the pivot table, you can go on and delete the worksheet in one click. Then for this exercise, we ignore the third part. With that, we click OK, and Excel show you an empty pivot table. So if you look at this pivot table here, right, you can see here there is actually a standard icon at this every time when you create an empty pivot table. And from here you can see it's called, the name of this is a pivot table too. If you don't like this name, of course you can always rename it. So for this example, we just leave it as is because I want to show you how actually you can perform data analysis quick with this pivot table. So we want to answer the first question: which store in the portrayed in the data that yield the most revenue? So here we have two information: revenue and store. So we click store. Okay, this is actually the field. Where does this field come from? This field in fact come from your data, as you can see from here: year, month, store, group, product, unit, and revenue. That's why I said when you create pivot table, your column name playing a very important role. It will telling you what this column all about. It will portray here. If you do not have a name instead, then you will get yourself confused, because what you see here will be the first row of the value. So this is not something that I recommend you to do. I recommend you to give name for each column. So come back to our story here. So we want to look into store and revenue. Very simple. Just select store and revenue. Voila! You can see the wonder of pivot table. So what the pivot table will do here, it will go in and group all the store from row 2 to row last row. Then it will try to sum them out accordingly. Sum them actually a common default behavior. In fact, if you don't like sum, we can specify another matrix. So later on I will show you how to do that. So this is actually how pivot table can help you quickly generate the revenue of each store here. So from this pivot table, you can see here this is a number here. Okay, and of course because we only 4 stores, you can easily see that South will actually have the most revenue. What if you have a lot of value here in the future? What can you do to make this quick? So ladies and gentlemen, you can do a sorting. You can do a sorting on this revenue. So how to do a sort of the value? Very simple. It's just like how you do sorting on the column as well. So what do you do here is you look at the column label here, and on top of this you will see a drop down arrow. Click on the arrow here, then you can choose sorting here. But if you do not do any special operation, you can see here when you do sort here, right, it will just sorting by the name of the store. So what you need to do here, in order to sort this one, you have to select more sort options. Select this one here, and you can see here it's giving you 3 options. You can sort manually, you can drag them. This is not something I recommend to do. Okay, you can sort ascending. Ascending means that from small to big, small number to big number, ascending. Then descending means that from big number to small number. And at the bottom here, you can choose what attribute to be sorted. You can see from here, we have 2 attributes according to here. One is store, and one is revenue, because store will be appear at first, so it will show store here. So if you want to sort on revenue, go and choose the sum of revenue, click OK. You can see from here it actually sorting descendingly from big number to small number. This is how actually you can use pivot table to find out the most revenue store. Now we look back our data again. Another interesting question you might ask here: what is the most popular product? So we are not interested in revenue, but we instead are interested in which product sell the most unit, or which product is the most popular, which product is the least popular. So to answer this question, we don't have to do a sorting here again. What we can do here, we can actually convert this into a pivot table. Same thing, you can try it later on because I also provide the data to you. Go on, select anywhere in the table, go to insert and select pivot table from table range. Okay, then you can check whether select the right range of data for you. Then choose a new worksheet, then click OK. So you have the NT pivot table. So you can see here, it's actually generated an NT pivot table. It's called pivot table 3. So now we want another thing very important for you to think about before you use a pivot table is what kind of table do we want? Okay, so now our question will be, what is the most popular product? So you can imagine that in the first column we may have name of the product. In the second column we might have the total product sold. Okay, so now you get the idea here. So you have column 1 product name, column 2 total number of products sold. If you have this illustrate in your mind, then making pivot table is a lot easier. So what can you do now here is choose the product. Our product is here. So instead of click, okay, you can actually drag this one to row because now you want to design yourself. As you can see from here, it will actually listed all the product that you have in the data. Then unit here. Okay, so what we can do here, right? We can also drag it as a unit here, but here is meant for calculation. Normally you don't drag into the row. You will drag into the value here. So put it here, and you can see here. When you put the value here, right, it will automatically sum the unit of each product here. Remember this across all stores. So to answer the question here, which product is the most popular? So as we have seen in the previous example, we can go on and do sorting and choose descending, choose product. Instead, we choose sum or unit. Click OK. So you can see here, raisin bun will be the most popular product and chocolate will be the least popular product, and these are the grand total units sold. So now, what if I want to know under which product, under which store, the performance of each product? Now you are looking into 3 dimensions. Here this 2 dimensions. Why 2 dimensions? Because you have product, you have sum or unit here. So now you want to add in a store. Okay, so how it's going to work? Are you going to put a store in between, or are you going to put a store as a column? So I think because we have only 4 stores, I think that it will be more reasonable if we try it out. If we put the store at the column. So what we do here is we select the store. Okay, select the store here, click, and then drag until the column. Wow. You can see here. Your pivot table now actually include another new dimension, break down into dimension called store. Okay, this is a grand total here. Okay. So you want to find out which store actually sell the most raisin bun. What you can do here, right? You can select this, and then you can go in to home and then do conditional formatting to highlight the store that sell the most. What you can do here, you can highlight the cell. Okay, then you can choose top bottom rule. In this case, we choose top 10 item, but we don't want to choose the top 10. Maybe we want to choose the top 1. Okay, then we fill in the green color. You can choose any color to fill in. Okay, then click OK. So from here, you can clearly see that, right? The West store will be the one sell the most raisin bun. Okay, for chocolate, we also want to see which store sell the least. Go to home, go to condition formatting, go to top and bottom rule. Instead of top 10, we choose the bottom 10 item. We don't have to choose the top 10. Sorry, we don't have to choose the bottom 10. We choose the 1, and then highlight with the red color, click OK. So the not store will be the one selling the list. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how actually you can use a pivot table to help you to analyze your data quick.